As Your Heart Betrays You, Part 33. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira, with artwork for the opening and thumbnail image by Evenart Adams on Instagram and Tumblr. You can find a link to Evenart Adams in the description box, as well as links to the prior 32 parts of this story. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe. Wow, I cannot talk. I'm having mandible problems. If you're still listening, comment jaw pain. Please enjoy As Your Heart Betrays You, Part 33. Adrien Agreste, 23 years old. Paris, France. Adrien's forearms buzzed as he cleared his throat, trying on the 6th button-up in a row. He couldn't figure out what the right color to wear on their first date was. And then he'd have to choose what belt to wear, and that's only if he didn't mess up his hair in the meantime. Had he already applied cologne? Yes. No. Wait. He didn't want to put on too much by accident, but he wasn't leaving without a spray or two.
I could build a fort out of your discarded wardrobe,
Plagg said. He and Nuru lounged on the bed, out of the landing zone.
Okay, fine. I'm nervous. Why'd you ask her on a date in the first place? I thought you swore off that woman.
Adrien sighed, buttoning up a lighter green shirt than the last one.
Initiative. Unless there's cheese involved and you ate it without me, there wasn't any initiative.
I've always been the one to chase her, you know? But this time she chased me.
She's chased you before.
Not like this. Adrien turned to him. She's never been willing to give up anything for me.
Paris?
Right. And everything that comes with it. Her job, her connections.
Well, if she hooks you, she wouldn't need anything of her own.
Plagg,
I'm not wrong.
She's not like the others. He'd been approached plenty of times by people who wanted sugar. And this is different. She chose him. Marinette chose him with intention. She'd never done that before. Not like this.
Your mental health begs to differ.
My mental health... well, you might be right about that. Adrien spun around, looking for his brown ankle boots.
But it's different this time, Plagg. Is it?
It is! He tried to balance his weight as he slipped on a boot, getting stuck halfway from not undoing the laces. It is. I'm not chasing her this time.
You're the one who asked her on a date.
Adrien frowned at him. You know what I mean.
So you moving away to the edge of the country was what? You being dramatic?
No, it's just a date, Plagg. We aren't getting married.
Right, because you totally haven't been zoning out for the past week.
Shush.
I'm right. You owe me cheese.
No and no. Listen, this... Asking her on a date surprised him too. He hadn't meant to, but then he did. All at once. He didn't regret leaving, nor taking the time to put himself first. But if Marinette was willing to spend time with him on a field that didn't give him injury and trauma, then he wanted to try. If he didn't try, he'd wonder about it until he found the next person, although recently he realized he didn't need someone else to complete him. It's different. It's different this time. If it was the same, I'd have fallen into her when she first told me she loved me, naive to my identity.
Okay.
Adrien knew his Kwame didn't believe him, although Nuru would give him words of encouragement if it got that far.
It's just... It finally felt like she was talking to me, not at me, you know? Whatever you say, lover boy. The green's your best option, with a khaki-colored straight leg.
Thanks. His mouth was dry. When's the last time he drank something? He should drink something before he left. No, then he'd have to excuse himself to the bathroom, and it'd be all awkward. But if he got thirsty enough, he wouldn't be able to listen to her as she spoke, and... Oh, he's stuck in a mental goofy loop again. Just drink the water, Agrest. Standing in front of the door to Marinette's apartment, Adrien rolled his neck, cracked his knuckles, and took a moment to breathe before knocking. The door swung open, revealing Alya, grinning and poised, before her smile turned tight with shock. "Adrien," she said, looking at him, then around him. "Oh, Adrien. Hi."
Am I,
Adrien wiped his palms on his thighs.
Am I not supposed to be here yet?
"Yet, no, I just, expected someone with cat ears. It's all."
Marinette said she had a date with Cat?
Alya raised her eyebrows. "A date, is it?" She looked over her shoulder, then glanced back at him, giving him a once-over. "I thought she was just meeting up with someone today."
Sorry to disappoint. Congratulations on getting married.
"Oh, you and your manners. Thanks. Counting down the weeks. You haven't RSVP'd yet, and I've noticed."
I will.
With a +1? He'd been fighting the urge to not peek inside, but his eyes betrayed him, darting for a glimpse of Marinette.
Nothing. I'd rather not. Sworn off dating and all that.
"So you aren't here to pick up Marinette for a date?"
Like she said, she's just meeting up with someone today. Right?
"You're no fun." Alya rolled her eyes, tossed her hair, then gestured him inside. "Come on, you sourpuss. What have you been up to?"
I got a couple of avocado trees.
"Wow. Small talk is a talent for you, isn't it?"
Years of practice with boring women.
"Ouch!" She smacked his bicep, then shook her wrist out. "Rude."
Taking it personal?
"Ha ha. Marinette!" Alya called for her roommate, his date, and a thunk came from the back room. The woman he'd traveled for showed herself, tripping out of her bedroom doorway as she tried to wriggle on a sneaker. "Adrien!" she said, her smile as wide as her eyes. "Hello, hi. Fancy seeing you here." "Ah, got it." Adrien took a breath to fill his chest as his heart sank.
Marinette, ready to go?
Alya looked between the two of them, smiling to herself before turning to make herself busy in front of the refrigerator. "Yeah." His date tugged at her ponytail. "Yeah, let's go." He didn't offer her his hand. He wanted to and had planned on it, but after hearing that Marinette didn't fess up to going on a date with him, it didn't feel right. There it was again. That sinking feeling. The feeling he always succumbed to whenever he entangled himself with his partner. Oh. He wasn't better after all. It wouldn't be like before. He'd cut his losses and go home by himself.
On second thought,
Adrien said, stopping at the threshold.
No, You're probably busy. I don't want to waste your time.
Marinette stopped tugging on her hair, and even Alya stopped rummaging in the fridge. What? No! Adrien, I want to go on this date with you. I was just running late. His heart swelled. She admitted it. In front of someone else. She admitted she was going on a date. With him. She wasn't hiding it. Had he misunderstood? But she just pretended him showing up was a surprise, and even Alya was surprised to see him, so... Unless she was just being Marinette, not thinking about the weight of her words and not meaning them as an attack or a guise to hide something.
Oh, you sure?
Adrien stepped out to the hallway, pressing his back to the wall. Yeah. She followed him out. You okay? The door clicked behind her, and he gasped, as if he'd been holding his breath.
You want to go on a date with me?
Yes. His hands were on his face now, and he had to slide down the wall.
Really?
Adrien? Her fingers touched his, and he flinched. Oh, he was spiraling. That's what this was. The dizziness wasn't real. Adrien, are you okay?
Sorry.
He batted her touch away, then stood.
Sorry. Shall we?
Adrien, are you okay? She caught his wrist, stopping him from pulling away. He took a breath. Remember what your therapist said. Honesty. Communication. She's your partner, not your enemy.
Rejection.
Excuse me?
Hearing that you didn't tell Alya this was a date felt like rejection.
She blinked. Oh, that's why... She looked from him to the door. Oh, Adrien, no, I just didn't want her to tease me as I tried on different outfits. It's not that I'm going on a date with you, it's that I'm going on a date at all.
Really?
Really? I mean, yeah, she teased me way harder for a date with you or Kat than anyone else, but I mean, I'm sure you understand why.
So you aren't embarrassed of me?
It hurt to say. He wanted to leave. No, I'm not. She slipped her hand from his wrist to his palm. Not even a little. You're like my best friend, even if I haven't seen you for most of this year.
Right. Okay.
It was still hard to breathe, but that's the rejection-sensitive dysphoria that his therapist told him about. It wasn't reality.
Okay.
So, where are we going?
The garment district.
The garment district?
Yeah. Do you want to get a cab or, like, take the train or...
She looked at his face, then laughed. I don't think the public is a good idea right now.
Oh, right.
He wasn't thinking straight.
Oh, right. I have a driver's downstairs. Oops.
She laughed, then rolled her eyes. Glad I'm not the only one who's nervous.
Nervous?
Marinette was nervous? For a date? With him? Marinette was nervous for a date with him. Heat bit at his ears, but he couldn't address the itch while holding her hand. Oh. He was holding her hand. They were holding hands. She held his hand first. When did that happen? Did he register that? Had it happened? Adrien was a mess, and he knew it. So much for trying to impress her. Okay, time to restart. Take a breath. Flash a smile. Small talk. You're great at small talk, Agrest. Done it 1,000,000 times before. The car ride made him want to puke, but at least Marinette hadn't let go of his hand. They sat side by side as Marinette filled him in on little tidbits of her life. She'd started getting wholesale orders for overseas stores and taught herself SEO instead of relying on Alya's guest work. She also started outsourcing production and had a small team helping out some other nuances and intricacies that come when you're on the breaking point of breaking to a long-running success. Marche St-Pierre? Marinette gasped when she saw where they pulled up to. Dreyfus, yeah. Adrien, why are we... She gave the building a once-over, and he knew she buzzed with excitement. 6 stories. 3,000 square meters of fabric on sale. It was a little overboard for what they were going to make when they got back to his studio, but that was half the fun. She could spend a whole week here and consider it the best date ever. What are we doing here? Her question didn't hide her smile or the way her eyes shone. He wouldn't put it past her to forget he was here entirely. Well, some guys could win you a plush toy at an arcade or something, he began, taking her hand in his to help her out of the car. But I didn't want to just be some guy. Marinette's jaw dropped as she realized what he meant, looking from the fabric store to him, then back. Adrien. Am I wrong? Would you like dinner instead, with dresses you don't have a full range of motion in and a water glass that never gets filled as often as you need it? No. She couldn't stop giggling, her free hand hiding her grin. This is great. Thank you, Adrien. He squeezed her hand 3 times, then got the door for her. After you. The trip to the fabric store took longer than Adrien budgeted for. He thought, generously, they'd be in there for half an hour. Instead, they spent half an hour on each floor, but he was at fault as well. It took their rumbling stomachs to notice the time, and, unsurprisingly, neither of them picked out a fabric for their one bold decision they came to. Okay, wings, watermelon boba, but with kiwi pearls, and... Adrien looked from his phone to see Marinette hugging the bolts of fabric. She'd persuaded him into 2, not 1, to her chest. To think, he hadn't even taken her to see the buttons. Do they have that chocolate chip cookie thing? Marinette asked, and Tiki flew out of the purse at the mention. 20 centimeters of sweetie goodness! Tiki squeaked. Adrien smiled at her, then nodded. So what if they ordered from multiple places? Cheese pizza! Extra cheese! Fried cheese sticks! Plag added. Marinette took one look at the little guy, then swallowed, her face losing color. Anything else we should add? Adrien asked, looking to his date for confirmation. No, I'm good. Adrien ordered Mexican-style burritos, just to be safe. Okay, well, he said, sliding his phone into his pocket and leaning forward as the car came to a stop. Are you ready? For? Our date. Marinette blinked, looking from him to the building they pulled up to. What? Wasn't that... Oh, please, Marinette. The fun's just begun. Come on. She took his hand, and they stepped out of the car. He couldn't help but smile at the building. Life was a mess when he first got Nuru, so he'd gotten this building in case he didn't financially survive the Agrest household scandal. but he'd turned it into something more. Cat Noir's apartment? Marinette furrowed her eyebrows. Oh, okay. We can eat here, I guess. Adrien laughed, then went to the main doors instead of the lowered street side entrance.
Marinette, this is my studio.
Right, your studio apartment.
No, you misunderstand. This building is my studio.
No, your frat boy-looking apartment is downstairs.
Come on in. I'll show you the button room.
Adrien, what is... Marinette stopped once he opened the door. This is a lobby. This is a nice lobby.
Kind of, yes.
Is that a Bernini? Adrien, why does your apartment building have a Bernini sculpture in the lobby?
Let's just... He had to bite back a laugh. Come on, let's go upstairs.
Upstairs? Your apartment is downstairs.
Come upstairs with me, Marinette.
But...
Adrien squeezed her hand again. Trust me on this one, okay?
He knew she'd get caught on the word. Instead of protesting, she squeezed his hand in return, then followed him up, and Adrien knew he'd said the right thing. Besides, he couldn't wait to show her the button room. Thank you so much for listening. Part 34 is on its way. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more fan fiction. If you're still listening, don't forget to not only subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, but also leave a thumbs up and a comment. If you aren't sure what to comment, put fabric date. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!